For the first time in 50 years, the United States Mint is completely redesigning America's coins. And it's happening right now, in 2026, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. We're talking about brand new quarter designs, a Roosevelt dime that hasn't changed since 1946, a Jefferson nickel carrying a dual date for the very first time, and a $50 that echoes one of the most celebrated coins in American history. These are not ordinary mint releases. These are one-year-only commemorative coins tied to the most significant anniversary in this nation's history. The last time the mint did something like this was 1976, and those Bicentennial coins? Collectors are still chasing them 50 years later. Today, we are covering 5 of the most important 2026 coins you need to know about right now. We'll show you exactly what makes each one significant, what they're worth today, and, most importantly, what the rare varieties and errors on each design could be worth in the future. If you collect coins, or if you simply spend pocket change, this video could change the way you look at every coin you touch in 2026. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a single update as these coins begin circulating. Let's start with the coin that has collectors more excited than anything else released this year. The first coin we are examining today is the 2026 Valley Forge Quarter, officially part of the semi-quincentennial quarter series celebrating 250 years of American independence. Let's start with the obverse. The portrait of George Washington on this coin is unlike anything we've seen on a circulation quarter in modern times. This is not the flat, profile Washington we've grown accustomed to since 1932. This is a wartime commander. The design captures Washington as he appeared during the darkest chapter of the Revolutionary War, stoic, burdened, and resolute. The portrait conveys struggle in a way that no coin in recent memory has attempted. Now turn the coin over to the reverse. The design shows a Continental Army soldier at Valley Forge, the brutal winter of 1777 to 1778, where Washington's army nearly collapsed. The soldier's posture, the detail in the clothing, the suggestion of frozen ground beneath his feet, this is exceptional artistic work for a coin intended for general circulation. Why does that matter? Because design quality directly influences collector demand. The more visually striking and historically significant a coin, the higher the long-term collector interest. And this coin is both. Now let's talk about value. In circulation condition, the coins you'll find in your change starting in 2026, the Valley Forge Quarter is worth its face value of 25 cents, but that's just the baseline. The smart money is already moving into mint state examples. Uncirculated Valley Forge quarters purchased directly from the U.S. Mint in proof and silver proof sets are already commanding premiums. Early estimates place pristine MS-67 examples at $15 to $40. MS-68 coins, the very top of the grading scale for this issue, could reach $100 to $250 within the next 5 years as demand from registry collectors intensifies. But here is where it gets genuinely exciting. Every new coin design creates a window for errors and varieties to emerge, and those are the coins that can be worth serious money. Watch for these specific Valley Forge quarter varieties. Double die obverse. On the 2026 obverse, the area to watch is Washington's portrait, specifically the lettering of "In God We Trust" and the date. Double die errors on this coin, where you can see clear doubling of the letters or the date numerals under magnification, could be worth anywhere from $200 to $2,000 depending on the severity and grade. Off-center strikes. When a planche, that's the blank coin disc, isn't properly centered before striking, you get an off-center error. Even a 10% off-center Valley Forge quarter in uncirculated condition is worth $50 to $100. A dramatic 40 to 50% off-center strike with the date fully visible, that could reach $500 or more. Die cap errors. These are extraordinarily rare, but they do occur on new releases when a coin sticks to the die and creates a blockage. If one exists for the Valley Forge quarter, it would be a landmark discovery for this series. Now here's the historical context that every collector needs to understand about this coin. The 1976 Bicentennial quarter was released in a similar spirit, a one-year commemorative design to mark a national milestone. At the time, most people spent them without a second thought. Today, bicentennial quarters in high mint state grades sell for hundreds of dollars. Deep cameo-proof examples reach into the thousands. The 2026 Valley Forge quarter has the same potential trajectory. 1 year of production. A design tied to a once-in-a-generation historical anniversary. Collector awareness that simply did not exist in 1976 thanks to the internet and coin communities that can organize demand overnight. If you are a coin roll hunter, ask your bank for rolls of quarters beginning in early 2026. Set aside every Valley Forge quarter in the best condition you can find. Do not clean them, ever. A cleaned coin loses 90% of its collector value immediately. Store them in coin flips or airtight holders to preserve their luster. And if you find any quarter from this roll that looks different, any doubling, any off-center strike, any unusual die marking, set it aside immediately and have it examined by a professional grading service. The Valley Forge quarter is the first of 5 2026 semi-quincentennial quarter designs that will enter circulation this year. Each one tells a chapter of America's story. Each one is a one-year-only design that will never be produced again for regular circulation. That alone makes every single one worth paying attention to right now, before most people even realize they're circulating. Of all the 2026 semi-quincentennial quarter designs, this is the one that speaks most directly to the moment we are commemorating. The 2026 Declaration of Independence quarter features one of the most iconic symbols in American history on its reverse, the Liberty Bell in full detail, including the famous crack that runs through the bell's crown. Let's look at the obverse first. Like the Valley Forge quarter, this coin features the new wartime Washington portrait, serious, commanding, historically grounded. But the story of this coin lives on the reverse. The Liberty Bell design is breathtaking in its detail. The mint's engravers have captured every rivet, every curve of the yoke, and most critically, that crack. It runs diagonally across the bell from the crown to the rim, and it is rendered with a level of precision that makes this reverse one of the finest on any circulating coin in decades. But there's a layer of symbolism here that makes this coin especially compelling for collectors. The crack in the Liberty Bell isn't a flaw, it's a feature. It represents the fragility of a young nation. The idea that freedom, once declared, still had to be fought for and protected. That narrative is built directly into the design, and sophisticated collectors respond to coins that carry meaning beyond their metal. Now to value. In circulation, like all 2026 quarters, this coin is worth 25 cents. But the premium potential here is significant and arguably higher than the Valley Forge design because of the Liberty Bell's universal recognition. The Liberty Bell is not just a numismatic symbol, it's one of the most recognized images in American culture. That means this coin has crossover appeal beyond the coin collecting community. History enthusiasts, American heritage collectors, Liberty Bell memorabilia collectors, all of these audiences have a reason to seek out a pristine example of this quarter. That broadened demand pool typically translates to higher long-term value. In uncirculated condition, the Declaration of Independence quarter is already positioned at a premium alongside its Valley Forge counterpart. MS-67 examples are estimated between $20 and $50 currently. MS-68 coins, if they emerge from the mint in sufficient quality, could command $200 to $500 within a decade. The silver-proof version of this coin, available directly from the U.S. Mint in collector sets, is a priority purchase for anyone building a 2026 type set. Silver-proof quarters and top grades from limited commemorative programs have a consistent track record of appreciating significantly within 5 to 10 years of release. Now let's talk errors, because this is where things get very interesting. Struck-through errors. The Liberty Bell's intricate reverse design creates more opportunities for die debris or struck-through errors than a simpler design. When a foreign object, a piece of metal, a cloth fiber, gets caught between the die and the planche at the moment of striking, it leaves an impression in the coin. On a detailed reverse like this one, a dramatic struck-through error could be extremely difficult to detect at first glance, making it a genuine hidden treasure for observant collectors. Die cracks running through the bell. Pay attention to any die cracks that might coincidentally align with or extend the Liberty Bell's crack on the reverse. Die cracks are caused by the deterioration of the steel die after thousands of strikes, and they appear as raised lines on the coin's surface. A die crack that appears to continue the Liberty Bell crack would be a visually extraordinary variety and likely worth significant money to a collector who understands what they're looking at. Reverse die rotation errors. On standard U.S. coins, the reverse die is oriented 180 degrees from the obverse, what numismatists call coin turn. If a declaration quarter emerges with the reverse rotated at a different angle, that's a die rotation error. Dramatic rotations of 90 degrees or more can be worth several $100s. Here is something I want you to truly understand about all 5 2026 quarter designs. These coins are being struck in quantities of hundreds of millions for circulation. On the surface, that sounds like it should make them common and therefore worthless. But here's the reality. Out of hundreds of millions of coins struck, only a tiny fraction will be preserved in mint state condition. The rest will circulate, wear down, and eventually be spent and forgotten. 50 years from now, when collectors are searching for pristine 2026 semi-quincentennial quarters, the pool of available MS66 and above examples will be far smaller than the mintage numbers suggest. High-grade survivors are always rarer than people expect. The Declaration of Independence quarter is already generating significant buzz on collector forums and at coin shows. Dealers who attended the 2025 American Numismatic Association convention reported extraordinary interest from collectors specifically seeking all 5 2026 quarter designs in matched high-grade sets. If you want to build that set, and I strongly recommend that you do, start pulling these quarters from circulation the moment they appear. Handle them by the edges only. Store each one individually. And consider submitting your very best examples to a professional grading service to lock in their condition permanently. 80 years. That is how long the Roosevelt dime has carried the same basic design. Since 1946, the profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt has appeared on the obverse of every single dime produced by the United States Mint, through wars, recessions, moon landings, and 5 generations of coin collectors. That 80-year run ends in 2026. The new 2026 Roosevelt dime, officially called the Emerging Liberty design, represents the most significant change to this denomination in modern American numismatic history. And that fact alone makes this coin potentially one of the most important releases of the entire 250th anniversary series. Let's examine the design. The obverse of the 2026 dime retains elements that acknowledge the Roosevelt legacy. This is still recognizably a tribute to the denomination's history. But the reverse is where the Mint has made a genuinely bold artistic statement. The Emerging Liberty design features a figure representing liberty in motion, not static, not enthroned, but moving forward. The Mint's language describes it as capturing the winds of revolution, the energy and urgency of a nation declaring independence and fighting for its existence. The coin is smaller than a quarter, but every bit as detailed. The strike quality on early production examples is extraordinary. Under magnification, the design reveals layers of depth that simply don't exist on the standard Roosevelt dime we've all handled for decades. Now to value, and this is where I need you to pay very close attention. A standard Roosevelt dime in circulation condition is worth 10 cents. A 2026 Emerging Liberty dime in circulation condition is also technically worth 10 cents. But the collector market does not function on face value. It functions on rarity, condition, and demand. And this coin has all three working in its favor. Consider the last year issue of the original Roosevelt design. When 2025 Roosevelt dimes, the final year of the 80-year design, enter the collector market, they will be recognized as the last of a historic run. Last year issues historically command a premium because collectors building complete sets need one to finish their type collection. The 2025 Roosevelt dime, the final traditional design, is already generating interest. But the 2026 Emerging Liberty dime, the first-year issue of a brand-new design, has historically been the bigger opportunity. First-year issues generate the most attention, the most media coverage, and the most new collector interest. The public encounters the design fresh with no prior familiarity, and the response is almost always heightened demand. In uncirculated condition, the 2026 Emerging Liberty dime is currently estimated at $5 to $15 for MS65 examples. At MS67, early secondary market sales suggest $20 to $60. And at the very top of the scale, MS68 and above, population data from grading services will ultimately determine the ceiling. If the Mint's 2026 dies produce coins that consistently fall short of MS68 quality, the handful of MS68 examples that exist could be worth several $100s each. The silver-proof version is the priority purchase for serious collectors. The 2026 silver-proof Emerging Liberty dime, struck in 90% silver with mirror-like fields and frosted devices, is the finest presentation of this design. In PR70 Deep Cameo, the absolute top grade for proof coinage, these coins are already drawing strong pre-release interest from type collectors. Estimates for PR70 Deep Cameo examples range from $75 to $200. Now for errors. The Emerging Liberty dime's new design creates specific opportunities. Double die obverse and reverse. Any doubling on the new design, particularly in the lettering or the Liberty figure, will be immediately recognizable as a major variety. The 1955 double die Lincoln cent and the 1972 double die are legendary precisely because the doubling is visible to the naked eye. If a comparable double die exists for the 2026 Emerging Liberty dime, it would be a landmark discovery. Missing clad layer, errors. Dimes are clad coins, a core of copper sandwiched between outer layers of cupronickel. Occasionally, a planchet is struck with one clad layer missing, resulting in a coin that appears copper colored on one face. These errors are dramatic and immediately obvious. A missing clad layer on the 2026 Emerging Liberty dime would be worth several $100s. Wrong planchet errors. If a 2026 dime obverse is accidentally struck on a cent planchet, which is smaller and thicker, you get a wrong planchet error that is immediately collectible. Wrong planchet dimes have sold for over $1,000 in recent years. I want to give you one piece of actionable advice for the Emerging Liberty dime specifically. The moment these coins appear in circulation, visit your bank and request rolls of dimes. Examine each coin under good light before spending it. Any coin that looks unusual, different color, unusual thickness, dramatic doubling, deserves a second look. The window of opportunity to find first-strike circulation errors is always narrowest in the first weeks after a new design enters the money supply. The Emerging Liberty dime is a coin that history will remember as a turning point for this denomination. 80 years of Roosevelt. And then this. Collectors 50 years from now will be searching for pristine examples of the very first year of this new design, just as collectors today search for the finest known 1946 Roosevelt dimes. The opportunity to be on the right side of that history is available to anyone who acts in 2026. Here is a coin that I believe most collectors are dramatically underestimating right now. The 2026 Jefferson nickel carries the 1776-2026 dual date, acknowledging both the year of American independence and the year of the 250th anniversary on what is otherwise a familiar coin design. Jefferson's portrait remains. Monticello remains on the reverse. But that dual date changes everything about how this coin should be understood and collected. Let me explain why this matters more than most people realize. Dual date coins are extraordinarily uncommon in American numismatics. They appear only during significant commemorative years, and even then only on selected denominations. The last time a Jefferson nickel carried a dual date of this significance, acknowledging an anniversary while maintaining the standard design, was during the wartime nickel period of the early 1940s. And those war nickels are now worth significant premiums for exactly the reason that made them unusual. The 2026 Jefferson nickel with its 1776-2026 dual date is a one-year anomaly in a series that has been running continuously since 1938. 88 years of single-date Jefferson nickels, and then, in 2026, this. Now, the design context. The Monticello reverse remains unchanged, those familiar steps, the dome, the portico. But savvy collectors know that Monticello on Jefferson nickels creates a specific and highly sought variety, the full steps designation. Full steps Jefferson nickels, coins where 5 or 6 complete unbroken step lines are visible on Monticello, are significantly scarcer than their non-full steps counterparts, even from the same year and mint. A common date Jefferson nickel in MS65 might be worth $3 to $5. That same coin with the full steps designation in MS65FS jumps to $20 to $60. In MS67FS, values can reach several $100s. For the 2026 dual-date Jefferson nickel, the full steps premium could be dramatically higher than on standard issues, because the dual date creates a built-in collector market that doesn't exist for ordinary yearly releases. Every collector building a complete 2026 commemorative type set needs this coin. And within that collector pool, the subset seeking full steps examples is even more motivated. Early estimates for 2026 Jefferson nickel and MS67FS range from $75 to $250. That's a significant premium over face value from a coin that will initially enter circulation as 5 cents. Let's talk about the war nickel parallel, because this is the historical precedent that gives the 2026 Jefferson nickel its most compelling collector story. During World War II, from 1942 through 1945, the United States Mint produced Jefferson nickels with a large mint mark above Monticello, a departure from the standard design that was immediately identifiable and is now one of the most popular collector series in American numismatics. Those war nickels contain 35% silver, and even in circulated condition they are worth multiples of face value. The 2026 dual-date nickel is not a silver coin, but it shares the same structural characteristic as the war nickels. It is a one-year design anomaly in a long-running series that makes it immediately distinguishable from every other Jefferson nickel ever produced. That distinctiveness is the foundation of long-term collector demand. For error hunting on this coin, focus on these specific varieties. Double die on the dual date. The 1776-2026 date is the most visually complex element on this coin's obverse, and double die errors on date numerals are among the most collectible varieties in all of numismatics. Any visible doubling, particularly on the 1776 portion, which uses different numerals than collectors are accustomed to seeing on this design, could be worth $100 to several $1,000s depending on severity. Repunch dates. On early die production for any new design, the die-making process can occasionally result in a repunch date, where the date numerals were entered into the die more than once, leaving a ghost of the secondary impression visible on the struck coin. A repunch date on the 2026 dual date would be a major find. Die cracks through the dual date. Any die crack that runs through or near the 1776-2026 date would make the crack immediately visible and collectible. These late die state varieties are a priority for variety collectors. Here's my specific recommendation for building a 2026 nickel collection that has real long-term potential. Purchase the 2026 Jefferson nickel in as many mint presentations as possible, uncirculated mint set examples from both Philadelphia and Denver, proof set examples, and silver proof set examples. Each will carry a different surface quality and potential grade ceiling. The Denver Mint's nickel production often has different full steps characteristics than Philadelphia, creating two separate top population races. And from circulation, pull every 2026 dual date nickel you find. You will know them immediately by that distinctive 1776-2026 date. In 50 years, that dual date will be the most immediately recognizable feature of the entire 2026 coinage program for the average collector who wasn't there when these coins were made. Be the person who was there. Be the person who recognized the opportunity in 2026 when these coins were fresh from the mint and circulating in everyday commerce. We have saved the most significant design for last. The 2026 Enduring Liberty half dollar is the first new design on this denomination since the 1976 Bicentennial half dollar, the 50th anniversary of American independence. Now, 50 years after that bicentennial release, the Mint is marking the 250th anniversary with another new half-dollar design that collectors will be talking about for the next 50 years. That is not hyperbole. That is the historical record speaking. Let's examine the design of the 2026 half-dollar carefully, because every detail of this coin carries collector significance. The obverse features the Statue of Liberty, not in profile, not in silhouette, but facing forward, looking toward the future. The rendering captures the torch held aloft, the crown, and the expression of a nation that has endured 2.5 centuries and intends to endure further. The level of sculptural detail on the Statue of Liberty obverse is among the finest work the Mint's engravers have produced for a circulating denomination. The reverse carries the inscription, "Knowledge is the only guardian of true liberty." This is a direct quote from the founding era, and its inclusion on the coin's reverse grounds the 2026 design in intellectual and philosophical tradition, not just patriotic iconography. Now, value. The 2026 Enduring Liberty half dollar is not a circulation coin in the traditional sense. Half dollars have not been widely circulated since the early 1970s. They are produced today primarily for collector sets, proof sets, mint sets, special presentation sets. That means the population of these coins will be significantly smaller than the quarter or dime releases in this same 250th anniversary program. Smaller population plus strong collector demand equals higher premiums. That is the fundamental equation of numismatic value, and it applies here more powerfully than to any other coin in the 2026 series. In proof condition, the primary format in which collectors will acquire this coin, the 2026 Enduring Liberty half dollar is positioned for significant appreciation. Standard clad proof examples in PR69 Deep Cameo are already estimated at $25 to $60. PR70 Deep Cameo examples, the absolute finest grade achievable, could reach $100 to $300 within 5 years of release. The silver proof version is the coin I believe has the highest long-term potential in the entire 2026 program. The 2026 silver proof Enduring Liberty half dollar combines 3 powerful value drivers. First, 90% silver content, which gives every coin intrinsic metal value regardless of collector demand. Second, the historic nature of the first new half-dollar design in 50 years, creating immediate typeset demand from serious collectors. Third, the 250th anniversary context, which guarantees this coin a permanent place in United States numismatic history. Silver-proof half dollars from important commemorative programs have a consistent track record of outperforming their original issue prices. The 1976 S silver-proof Bicentennial half dollar, which is the closest historical parallel, trades today at multiples of its original mint issue price. And finest known examples in PR70 Deep Cameo regularly sell for $300 to $500 or more. Now, the error potential for the 2026 half dollar differs from the smaller denominations. Because half dollars are produced almost exclusively for collector sets, the striking pressure and quality control are significantly higher than circulation coinage, Major errors are less likely to reach the public. But they still occur. And when they do, the collector response is extraordinary. Watch specifically for off-center strikes on collector set examples. These are rare but have precedent. When quality control fails to catch an off-center error on a proof coin before packaging, the result is a major rarity. A dramatically off-center 2026 proof $half, still in its original packaging, would be one of the most significant error coins of the decade. Wrong planche errors. If a 2026 $half obverse is struck on a quarter planche, which has occurred in previous commemorative programs, the size discrepancy is immediately obvious and produces a dramatic, highly collectible error. Values for wrong planche $half have historically exceeded $1,000. Die cracks on the Statue of Liberty obverse. Given the complexity of the Statue of Liberty design and the sculptural depth of the engraving, die deterioration on the 2026 $half dies could produce dramatic die cracks that run across the Liberty figure in visually striking ways. Late die state examples with major cracks are a specific area of collector interest. Here is the broader context I want to leave you with as we close out today's video. The 2026 coinage program represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity. We will not see another anniversary of this magnitude, the 250th anniversary of the United States, in our lifetimes. The coins being produced this year are the physical artifacts of that anniversary. They are the objects that future generations will search for, grade, and trade as evidence of what the United States Mint chose to celebrate when America turned 250 years old. The collectors who recognize this opportunity in 2026, who acquire pristine examples of all 5 2026 semi-Bicentennial quarters, the emerging Liberty dime, the dual-date Jefferson nickel, and the enduring Liberty $half, are positioning themselves exactly where the 1976 collectors who saved Bicentennial coins were positioned 50 years ago. History has already told us how this story ends. The only question is whether you're going to be part of it. Those are the 5 2026 coins that every collector, every coin roll hunter, and every person who handles pocket change needs to know about right now. The Valley Forge Quarter, the Declaration of Independence Quarter, the emerging Liberty dime, the dual-date Jefferson nickel, and the enduring Liberty $half. 5 coins, 1 anniversary, 1 year of production, and a collector opportunity that may not come again in our lifetimes. If this video gave you a new perspective on what's happening in the coin market in 2026, please like this video and subscribe to Old Coins Money. We publish new videos every week covering exactly the coins and values you need to know about. And tell me in the comments, which of these 5 2026 coins are you most excited about? I read every single comment. Until next time, keep looking at your change. You never know what's hiding in plain sight.